Welcoming everybody to the Victor Mukasa Show. Please invite a friend. We haven't gotten updates from Kakuma in a long time on this show. I'm asking you to invite a friend or anybody you know that cares for humanity. So great to see you all. Once again, welcome to the Victor Mukasa Show with a special updates segment. The LGBT refugees in Kakuma Camp. We'll be starting in a minute. Invite your friends, share this in your groups. Share this with those who care for humanity. And for all those on the podcast, apologies, because I know you will not be watching anything, so we'll try to explain what is happening in the background. Please bear with us as we improve on this. Wow. Thank you so much, Bryans, the composer and performer, together with TUK Band, of this Kucho anthem, the theme song that I use on my shows. Bryans, big ups to you in Toronto, Canada. And thank you for supporting the struggle in all the ways that you do. Again, I welcome everybody. And thank you for showing up today. Thank you for the support that you give to LGBTQ refugees in Kakuma. As you are aware, for those of you who have just joined us, we usually give regular updates of the situation of LGBTQ people in Kakuma Camp, and focusing on Block 13, where we have had regular attacks by homophobic refugees and homophobic natives of the land, of LGBT refugees and their supporters, their allies in Kakuma Camp. There have been several attacks. There has been loss of a life. 16th September 2020 will never be forgotten. That is when we lost a baby at Block 13. There's been loss of of minds. There's been injuries, people getting serious injuries on their bodies, on their skulls, of their limbs. There has been discrimination when it comes to reception of services around Kakuma. There has been homophobia and transphobia from the police in Kakuma. There has been sexual assault and harassment and rape in Kakuma. We have been updating you all on this show, and if you want to watch the previous episodes of this season of LGBTQ refugees in Kakuma Camp, please type in the Victor Mukasa show in YouTube, and you will get all the videos since the June 19th attacks. That is when we had a major attack, a mass attack, brutal attack of LGBTQ refugees in Kakuma Camp. So you just go to the Victor Mukasa show on YouTube, subscribe to that channel, and you can watch all the videos, all the updates videos that we have had over the last few months. Now, we haven't been here, sorry. Excuse me. We haven't been here in a couple of weeks, close to a couple of weeks, for a few reasons. And one of them is that we have been working on financial reporting, accountability for the funds that have been given to us by all you donors out there via the GoFundMe page and Facebook, and also through other means. Now, last week on Thursday, I invited you all to an accountability show. We had a Zoom meeting, which was very open to everybody who wanted to be at that meeting, and that was to account for the funds raised so far. It was a status report because we are still fundraising, but we wanted the donors to know what is happening, what is being spent on, and where we are at in terms of this. A lot of people didn't show up, but as it was a draft, as soon as it's fully finalized, we will share it with all the donors whose contacts we already have via the GoFundMe and Facebook, and also in person. So if anybody has questions in the meantime, please feel free to ask those questions. This has been a transparent process, and will remain as such. We've also been doing a lot of advocacy behind the curtains during this period, and also we have been having some of the leaders in Kakuma Camp suffering from malaria, which has been a big problem over the past couple of months. Now, in terms of that update, still a lot of global advocacy, and I thank you for all those that are engaged in any level of advocacy. It is a network. It is a global network of activists, including you and organizations. You have done an amazing job. We are not giving up until LGBTQ refugees are evacuated from that homophobic, transphobic, and dangerous Kakuma camp. Thanks to you, the donors who have given to us. We know that our call is constant, but also our needs back in Kakuma camp are constant. And as you know, we spent a lot of money during the period when we had typhoid and malaria outbreak. But the refugees are still at the camp, and so we still need that. There have been a lot of calls for those donations coming along with calls with petitions and statements. We have heard back from certain institutions that are actually looking toward supporting this campaign. A last call out is to the therapists, all the counselors, the network of counselors who we call first responders, who have been with us and continue to be with us, counseling refugees on Block 13 in Kakuma Camp, you can only imagine what is happening to them mentally as a result of the attacks and the rejection and the discrimination, as well as the inaction of UNHCR when it comes to their safety. Now, today we'll be having an update from the group there, and to you, everybody on Block 13 in Kakuma, all of you in Kakuma, I greet you, and I'm happy to provide this space to you. And Benon or Gilbert, whoever is available, please send in that request and let us talk about what is happening. Let us hear what is happening at the camp right now, as well as some kind of, I know that we have planned a campaign that we will be launching today. So please stay with us as Block 13 online. Yo, but just a second. Yes, Gilbert.
Hi, Victor.
Not here, but we've been together elsewhere, and I'm so happy to see you today.
Me too. Thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to talk to the world.
Good evening. Yes.
Yes, good evening, Victor. How are you?
I'm hanging in here.
Well, yes, it's been a while.
It has been a long time without giving our supporters, and probably this is the time for you to give us that update.
Yeah, we were last here on the 30th of September, and it's about slightly over 2 weeks.
That's right.
But Kakuma has not changed much from the time that we spoke. Block 13 is still under serious threats. Individuals continue to be harassed and attacked off the compound. And we also still have that threat from the Turkanas. Now, what's ironic is that everybody, including the police, will tell you that those are very hostile. They will terrorist weapons. But after telling you that, they'll still live in the same place.
Gilbert, I am seeing responses. There are a lot of advocates who are where UNHCR is actually saying that they are aware of the situation at the camp and that they have increased security as a way of giving you protection.
Well, Victor, if you remember, this is something that UNHCR has carried on. It's a lie that they have never been ashamed to tell, despite obvious evidence that it is a lie. In a recent interview with Ynet, the UNHCR spokesperson for the Kenyan office was increased. Now, that is a very false statement on very many levels. One, They don't have a group of LGBTQ plus persons that has been attacked to our extent, both in terms of quantities and in terms of intensity. The level of injuries sustained by our group are unprecedented, and the sheer amount of attacks have never been seen. So I don't know whether, as a humanitarian organization, you have to be terrible at statistics, or they lack a basic statistician to just add for them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, for them to understand that the attacks here are unprecedented. Now, you don't have to be a professional or a statistician to see that the attacks that we're going through are an indication that Kakuma Camp is not ready to have LGBTQ plus persons here. And in my view, the entire nation is not. Because it doesn't make sense to give people asylum who are running from persecution and attacks, and they get attacks and persecution. It doesn't make sense. You'd rather push them on. Because then what are you protecting them from? Now, this is a question that UNHCR has not been able to answer. This pretense that security is being increased needs to stop. It needs to stop because...
Well, we must be having a problem with network at Kakuma refugee camp. Of course, you know that it is in a very remote place in northwestern Kenya, in the Turkana Desert. But Block 13 out there, please continue. Send your request again, and we will continue with that update. Those who have just joined us, it is about LGBT refugees in Kakuma Camp, a refugee camp in northeast western Kenya, a refugee camp that is very homophobic and transphobic and really, really dangerous for LGBTQ refugees. Now here in Kakuma Camp, they are attacked by fellow refugees. Why? These refugees are from across Africa, countries where there's war and other challenges. And then they all come into this camp for protection, including LGBTQ refugees from mainly Uganda, Congo, Burundi, and Rwanda. And we have a few from Ethiopia and some other countries in the Maghreb. In this camp also, LGBT refugees are facing challenges with receiving services. The service providers there are homophobic. They are discriminated against in the hospitals that have been provided by UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, or the UN Agency for Refugees, the very institution that should be protecting them. They are facing attacks from even off their block when they go to shops to buy necessities. And this is what we have been talking about. This is the update that we are having now, one of those updates. I'm trying to bring back Block 13 to continue with that update about what is happening at the camp and the inaction. CR. Yes, Gilbert, welcome back. Very understandable. Gilbert, should I invite Trinidad? Is that a better phone right now, or should we continue with this?
This is a better phone.
Okay, all right. We will bear with that. Let us go on.
Yes, I was saying that in terms of security, there is nothing practical or even any initiative that we have had that is in the offing. UNHCR has not come out even to accept that we are in trouble. Now, how do you protect people you're even denying are in trouble? You know, with all the evidence that has gone out, with all the information that has gone out, it's amazing that they can come out and say, we have the situation under control. Me, I think that's very embarrassing for an institution of their magnitude. It's extremely embarrassing. And then secondly, they know that we will be attacked, just like they have known all along. You see, we have been mentioning this from as early as December last year. We're going to be attacked. We have been threatened. And then they sit back and then we get attacked. And then we go back to them. Victor, it doesn't make sense anymore to trust UNHCR to do this without an incentive. Because by the time an institution comes out and issues a statement that is false, lies about an incident that was witnessed by hundreds of people, lies about victims that are living, that are still nursing injuries, that shows a lack of willingness to act. What we'd like to share with the world is that it's not lack of capacity. It's not lack of resources. UNHCR has both the resources and the capacity to get us to safety. They simply do not want to do that. Now, if you are watching this show, or you have an opportunity to watch this video, and your tax money is being used to fund UNHCR, you ask yourself, why is it being funded? Why? You ask yourself, why is our government giving money to UNHCR?
Gilbert, just a pause there.
Yes, please.
I think that you are going into what we should be doing, but I want you to show our viewers this evening there in Kakuma. It is nighttime, I can see, and most likely people are going to bed or people are beginning to prepare to go to bed. There are people who have just come to this show for the first time, and we know that the UNHCR has also failed in providing the basics of life. You know, we know that LGBTQ refugees are sleeping outside in the open of that desert. Is it possible for us to see just around what is happening, just for a minute, just for us to get a glimpse of what is happening at Block 13? And then we get back here for more updates and action.
Yes, Victor, we can do that. But at the moment, most people have not started putting their beddings on the ground.
Okay.
They are still around and following the show, but we can show them where we sleep.
Okay.
For them to have an idea
Yes.
what is happening.
Yes.
Let me. This entire place I'm showing you, while it acts as our kitchen, this is our bedroom. Most of us sleep here. Now, it has been raining of late. And now you can imagine sleeping out in the open. You know, this is a Rift Valley. So it's a very, very flat area. So all the water collects here, and then we stand. Even when you have the few that sleep in these shelters, it rains in them. As you can see, this is not a door. It's not. The rain comes and passes through here, and then it enters. We're still trying to arrange. People have not, gotten to the point of sleeping.
That's fine.
These
that's
are the
fine,
kids
Gilbert.
that UNHCR has. Pardon?
That is okay.
Sleeping in this building is as good as sleeping outside. Because when it rains, the people in the inside stand and the people outside stand. So it's no longer a bedroom. It is a shed for the rain. So you literally stand until it stops raining. This
right, supposed to have provide.
Is our bedroom. As you can see, most of the people are still standing. They have not put out their beddings. But in the moment they will. And then
Yes.
we pray that we reach the morning safely. We are exposed to wild animals and also humans that have developed animalistic traits that attack us like they're attacking animals. What I'm trying to show you is that it doesn't make a difference whether one is sleeping in or out. We are all exposed to the rain. All these shelters have been brought to their knees by the constant attacks from the Sudanese. Now, if you're watching our show for the first time, this is our bedroom. And this is where most of the night attacks have happened. It's very easy to attack us because Kakuma in itself, it doesn't have electricity. Like a steady supply of electricity. They don't have hydro or solar or nuclear, whichever way you want to look at it. So at night it's very dark and it's very easy to attack. Some people have been attacked right here from block 13. We have a road that passes through our compound, and some of the attacks have been done there. For example, just a day after we had arrived, one of our members was attacked from the roadside there. You can see everybody is contemplating the night. It's a very worrying experience for us. And this is something that we go through every single night. People are worried. In the morning, shall we all be here? Now, we have had threats from the attacks. Even after the attack of 11th September, the Turkanas came here with the gang. You see where those saucepans are? And they stood there and they were trying to carry off our saucepans. So we came out and tried to, scare them off. It was during the day, and I think they decided it was not worth it. But they assured us anyway they will come back for us. They believe that shoggers should not be in their land. Yes, we are called shoggers here. They believe that LGBTQ persons should not be in their land.
Yes, viewers, you will bear with us. Like I said, it is in the remote desert up in northwestern Kenya. The network is a problem there, but we will still get back block 13. The UNHCR, as Gilbert has explained, has exhibited inaction. Reports have been written, testimonies have been shared by the UNHCR. UNHCR itself has made very conflicting statements. In some statements, accepting that there are attacks, it's unsafe for LGBTQ refugees, and in other statements, it has disputed the reports of homophobia. Now, this whole campaign is about having the LGBT refugees evacuated from this camp. And we are saying that we will not stop until that happens. We know that UNHCR has done it before. UNHCR has acknowledged the homophobia and transphobia in Kakuma Camp and has evacuated LGBTQ refugees from that camp. There is a lot of evidence of this homophobia. And in fact, it has never been we have never had attacks as much as we are having with this particular group. The question is, why is UNHCR silent? And if the UNHCR is silent, what can we do to get them to move? All that the refugees need from UNHCR are movement passes that allow them to safely travel from Kakuma Camp to safety. We also expect the UNHCR, after it has taken them out of the camp, to provide them with a safe place to stay. However, advocates across the world have said, UNHCR, if your problem is providing for these refugees, at least give them the permission, give them your blessing, give them movement passes so that they get out of that camp where they're on the verge of losing their lives, where we have already lost a life. Something we cannot deny is because of that homophobia. Something that we cannot deny that is because of the tear gas that has been thrown at the refugees as they seek protection from the UNHCR. That child that died on September 16th, which is last month, a month ago, died because of the tear gas that she got from the Kenyan police at the directives of the UNHCR when she was 3 days old. The child died at 4 months plus last September. And that is what we are talking about. We are saying that these refugees should be taken out of that camp. And this message is to UNHCR. Gilbert, please send that request again. It is because of the homophobia and transphobia and inaction of UNHCR, which is homophobia in itself, if we remain silent amidst homophobic attacks. Yes, Gilbert. Let us go back to
Yes,
where
Victor.
Yes, so the update and way forward.
Okay. With the updates, I wanted to first of all tell the world that after the wave of malaria and typhoid, all our finances were, and as it stands, we are very, very, very bad off in terms of finances. We could use some donations. Victor is running a GoFundMe page for us. Please, if you have anything, you can do it on the GoFundMe page. But there are other ways I'm sure Victor will take us through. They are a bit sophisticated. I'm not so quite sophisticated myself with those modern ways. In Kakuma, we only have one way, which is the word remit, maybe Western Union and MoneyGram. But Victor can give you the different options that we have. But we have a GoFundMe page that can be easily accessed. We need a lot of help. We strongly believe that the power to have UNHCR act largely lies in your hands because you have a stake in UNHCR. You have a stake in their funding. So you can use your stake to get them to action. But besides that, Victor has just mentioned that we lost a child here in Block 13, a child that could have been saved, a child that was exposed because UNHCR did not want to do their job. We asked for protection from them and they gave us tear gas. If they'd given us protection, that child will be alive. We have other children that were affected adversely. We don't know how they will turn out. But it is a very, very shameful thing that even the mother of the child has never heard from UNHCR. To date, we have never heard from them. They were too busy writing false statements to send a condolence message. They were too busy thinking of what to tell the newspapers to just send a condolence. We did not want their condolence. But do you know the pain that the mother is going through, Victor?
Yes,
Every time she passes by that place,
terrible.
do you know the reminders that come to her place? What do you think is her view of UNHCR and their decision to tear gas her baby at 3 days old? You can imagine her description of UNHCR. Now they want her to have that constant reminder of how horrible, of how terrible, and of how insensitive, and of how hard-hearted they can be. She has all the reminders that UNHCR doesn't.
We are having a big problem with network at Block 13 today. But please bear with us. Please stay around. They'll be back and we will continue. I've just pinned the GoFundMe details over there if you want to contribute. And like I said, if you want to see all the other videos, you can find them on show on YouTube. Yes, Gilbert.
Yes, I think the network is like UNHCR. You must keep trying it out to get something out of it. That's how it is like dealing with UNHCR here.
Mm-hmm.
So they are that cruel that they have exposed to the mother through this horrific experience and given her all the reminders around her, kept her in that very environment to be reminded every day of what it's like.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Victor, I'll go back to our original point. Now, those are the updates that we have.
Thank you.
As it stands, we are hostages. As it stands right now, we are hostages.
As it stands, they say they are hostages because even if they wanted to get out of that situation, they cannot because they do not have the permission of UNHCR. That is why they see themselves as hostages, which indeed they are.
Yes, Victor.
Mm-hmm.
We are not allowed to leave the camp because nobody will give us permission. And we have been set up for attacks because without protection, it means we have been positioned in a place where we can be attacked without the ability to live. Now tell me, how is a hostage life different?
You are hostages.
Isn't that the situation of a hostage? You're in danger and you cannot live. Now, we have written to UNHCR.
Mm-hmm.
You who are watching, you who are genuinely concerned, have written and called UNHCR. Organizations have contacted UNHCR, both at national and international level, and they are adamant. They have remained obstinate. It means, unless something drastic changes, they are not willing to do their job.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if your country uses some of your tax money to pay UNHCR,
Mm-hmm.
please, we're calling out to you. You reach out to your country, reach out to organizations, reach out to funders. Let them know that their money is not being put to correct use. Ask them to abscond from funding UNHCR. please inform any organization that you know that is funding UNHCR. Write your governments, the relevant ministries. Tell them your money is not being used correctly. Ask them not to send your money to an institution that is incapable of protecting just 300 people. There is no reason why your money should be spent on inactivity. There is no reason why your money should be spent on tear gas.
On tear gas to throw at refugees that are supposed to be protected.
Exactly. Why should you fund an institution that is interested in dispensing tear gas instead of dispensing protection? Is that why you're funding UNHCR? What we have got from them as a result of your funding is tear gas. And in varieties, by the way. They didn't have one variety. They have a very luxurious budget when it comes to that. Very luxurious. We are not asking for much. Get us out of a dangerous place and give us a place where we can live. You don't have to take us to the ends of the earth, just the nearest, safest place. All we want to do, Victor, is to live. We don't want anything else. It doesn't make sense to run from persecution and then you land in organized attacks. Because if you tell me that a refugee is receiving tear gas, that's not random. If an institution responsible for protection is covering those that are attacking those.
That's very deep. That is very deep. The institution that is supposed to protect these refugees is the very institution that is protecting those that is protecting the perpetrators. We've had testimonies here, lesbians testify that even if their assault, sexual assault, was a couple of months ago, today when they wake up, they are so afraid because as soon as they open their eyes, they are seeing their attacker. They are seeing the man who raped them in the camp, the man that they reported to UNHCR and the Kenyan police. Not only lesbians, gay men have been raped at Kakuma Camp. The police has participated in sexually assaulting gay men. We have a testimony of some of these gay refugees who were forced to have intercourse with themselves, sexual intercourse with themselves, with each other, by the police for the entertainment of these policemen. These cases have been reported. UNHCR is aware of these cases of sexual assault. UNHCR is aware of cases of discrimination at Kakuma Clinic 7 and other hospitals within the Kakuma area. The UNHCR is aware of the attacks in the neighboring little towns of Kakuma, of LGBTQ individuals. The UNHCR is aware of mass attacks. On June 19th, the UNHCR came to the camp, sent ambulances to take victims, bleeding, people bleeding, and the same UNHCR will say they are not aware of this. World, wake up to the filth in this institution. When the refugees say they are calling out to all of you, actually the ones funding an institution that is causing this suffering by being silent and by protecting the perpetrators. I do not blame them. They are right. That is the step that we should take. Sweden, Norway, Denmark, France, Germany, Canada, the USA, and so many other countries, Finland, are giving lots of money. The United Kingdom are giving lots of money to UNHCR. A lot of this money comes from you, the taxpayers. Some of them are donations from LGBT individuals to support LGBT refugees, donations from other people who may not necessarily be LGBT, but who care for humanity and for the safety of everybody in the refugee system. It is time for all of us in this coming week to write to all those that are giving money to the UNHCR. Because, as you have heard, this is what the UNHCR has done. These guys are sleeping outside, and UNHCR is saying they have taken care of their situation. I just watched a video last night from Kakuma Block 13, where people had to get up because wild donkeys had arrived. If they don't get up, then these wild donkeys are going to tramp over them. But they have a right to shelter. But look at the shelter they have been given, even when refugees, even when they have block houses. These refugees, the attackers, have attacked them because of the culture of homophobia in Kakuma refugee camp, a culture that has not been taken care of by UNHCR. Now they're calling us to write to the donors, and I believe that they are right. A child died on September 16th. That child was tear gassed on April 30th at 3 days old. The case was reported. UNHCR nothing to follow up on this. There's no way you can tear gas these people and you don't expect them to be sick from the tear gas. Because then after the tear gas, then they were dumped at Block 13. And look at Block 13, they just showed us how it looks like. The child never got proper treatment. Some of the treatment that these people need does not even exist in Kakuma. But the money is coming in for those purposes. UNHCR might say they do not even have the resources to take people out of Block 13. But the money they get. The spokesperson of UNHCR Kenya has given the most ridiculous statements out there. I have seen some of these statements or responses. We had an interview organized with the BBC World Service, Focus on Africa, and the spokesperson actually spoke. That's not the only time she has. And she keeps denying that these things are happening at the camp. The UNHCR has even failed to engage the activists on Block 13 to just listen to the refugees. There has been numerous calls by the refugees to UNHCR to have a conversation. UNHCR keeps saying, we have organized dialogues in Kakuma between LGBTQ refugees and the other refugees. And that the LGBT refugees on Block 13 have refused to engage. UNHCR, you are asking women, lesbians who have been raped to go and have a dialogue with their rapist, who you have not even reprimanded. You are telling LGBT refugees to go and have a dialogue with those who have set their houses ablaze. How ridiculous. How ridiculous that an institution, a humanitarian institution, is actually asking lesbians who have been raped to go and make peace with their rapist. And their rapist has never been brought to book. Their attacker has never been brought to book. These women and men are traumatized, and yet on top of the trauma that they face every day, they await their attacker every night. Yesterday, I spoke to one of the lesbians at Block 13. She was one of the victims of sexual assault on July 19th. Sifa. She was cut here in the back, sliced. And Gilbert, if you're able to bring Sifa on, please bring her on. Her wound started to heal because you donated to this cause. She was taken to the hospital and she was treated. But right now, she has a mega infection and pus is beginning to come out again. At the clinic where she goes, there's discrimination. At the clinic where she could be treated with dignity, we do not have the resources to take her back. And UNHCR talks about dialogue when people's skulls have been cracked, literally cracked. We have x-rays of skulls that have been cracked from the attacks. People are lame from the attacks. To date, people are nursing wounds from those attacks. And UNHCR continues to beg for money to take care of people in this camp. We are talking about people who are slowly losing their lives, children who are slowly losing their sanity. UNHCR is giving a lot of misinformation about what they are doing. UNHCR is talking about hotlines for counseling where refugees, LGBT refugees, are not taken care of. Hospitals where people, nurses, doctors blame refugees, LGBT refugees for being gay. Where gay LGBT refugees are afraid of going back. Where people have been, there's a woman who was attacked, who was hit on the head by the Turkana attackers. That was on the 11th of September. She was hit on the head, she bled, and she was taken to Clinic 7 for first aid because we didn't have money to take her to a private hospital. And when they got her there, she waited for 3 hours with everybody looking at her like she is filth because she's from Block 13. And eventually she had to leave and go get the tetanus shot elsewhere. This is what is happening there. The women who were sexually assaulted went to report to the police station in Kakuma Camp. The first day they went to report, a policeman, and they can testify against this. The policeman told them that he asked them, where are you from? And they said, we are from Block 13. It is known that Block 13 LGBTQ refugees. And said, I cannot take care of your case. I will not take your statements because that will be like committing treason, betraying my country to take a statement from LGBTQ refugees. How ridiculous, how pathetic. An activist, Gilbert in particular, had to call the police and advocate for these women to have their statements taken. But guess what? Nothing has been done. UNHCR has done nothing about their case. Just like they told you, UNHCR went on its website and said, we are saddened by the loss of a baby at Block 13. We will do whatever it takes to support the mother of this child. The child died because of tear gas, which was ordered by UNHCR in April when she was 3 days old. But since September 16th, when the child died, the mother of this child has not heard from UNHCR, despite that statement that they lied the world with. She still suffers. It is you, the advocates, that are helping out. It is an organization called Philia in the UK that has tried to help that mother, and they do not have all those resources to help her. I have collected money on the GoFundMe pages for those who came up for the accountability. You are aware that that money is depleted, and yet we still need these resources. Gilbert, come back and make that case. Yes, Gilbert. Sorry.
Sifa will be joining us in a moment.
Oh, great.
Yeah, but what I wanted to tell the world is that their funds are being misused. Now, you're well aware that there has been a real threat on our heads for speaking out. Now, for example, this call goes out despite knowing that our life is in real danger. If anything happens to me or anybody here on Block 13, you know who to ask. But we will not sit back and watch your funds that are meant for our protection and the others be misused. We'll speak out even at the risk of losing our lives. We'll not remain silent. We know we can be easy targets, but should anything happen to us, you know who to ask, Victor. The world knows who to ask. It's UNHCR and its partners. Now we beg everybody, especially organizations, boycott funding UNHCR until.
Again, the internet is not being friendly in the remote Kakuma camp. Gilbert is actually calling us to look at that funding to UNHCR. From what you have heard, you can see that UNHCR is misusing those resources. It's not protecting the people it should protect. There are close to 200, minus or negative, 200,000 refugees in Kakuma camp. We are talking of a group of about 300 people who are visibly under attack, who are visibly victims of homophobia in this camp. And we cannot stand the misinformation given by UNHCR. The lies that are told, I call them lies, because the UNHCR has lied about things, for example, that I know of right now. We are on video calls every day looking at how they're sleeping. We have bought them food and clothing. The UNHCR, for example, when they wrote a condolence message to the mother and they said that they will support her publicly, did nothing. It is your resources that bought the casket. It is your resources that bought the building materials. It is your resources that bought the food that fed the other refugees that came to mourn together with Block 13. It is your resources that are treating those who are sick on Block 13. It is not UNHCR. It is the therapists among you that are actually counseling refugees at Block 13 with counseling specific to LGBT people and victims of trauma. It is not the UNHCR. They have 2 new latrines there. It is your resources that got those latrines there because the UNHCR could not provide that. It is sad. And yes, it is your money that UNHCR to support LGBTQ refugees. Yes, Gilbert.
Just before I hand Sifa over to you,
Yes.
I wanted to inform everybody that is watching and following that just in case you don't believe that UNHCR is lying, we have a document that we released on the 30th of September that dealt extensively with UNHCR's lies regarding actual events on Block 13, on actual people. And there are testimonies from these people that UNHCR was lying about. You can send in a request and give us your address and we'll be able to share with you this copy. It's available and it's for everybody. So you can see firsthand the kind of lies and the amount of.
Thank you, Gilbert. Yes, the documents that Gilbert is talking about, I have them. And if you want those documents, one is a documentation of cases, testimonies from Block 13, of what has happened to them, cases that they have reported to the police in Kakuma and also to UNHCR and have had inaction. It's another document that lays out all the misinformation in the UNHCR statements that they have issued this year, the lies that have been told about the situation and the plight of LGBT refugees in Kakuma Camp. That document will show you all that misinformation, and the refugees have given evidence that this is misinformation. So if you need that, please inbox me your email and I will send that to you. Inbox Gilbert Kagara and other refugees who are on this live show so that you get a hold of those statements and you can send them along with your letters or petitions or whatever kind of tool you use to governments and donors of UNHCR, because they do not know. All they know is what they read from UNHCR reports, and UNHCR actually cuts those reports. We might be able to speak to Sifa, who is struggling with wounds from the attacks, and Gilbert, and then we will be closing. We will also be, I'll give you the words. Yes, Sifa.
Hi, Victor.
Yes, Sifa, how are you? How are your wounds?
I'm not fine.
I know you are not.
I'm not fine. Victor, which man did you attack again? Nafuna?
Sifa.
She's saying
there?
that regarding the attack on the 19th of July,
Okay.
paka ne kakati
Up to now,
natandika okuvunda omugongo neetaaga ate n'okulogoosebwa UNHCR tetuyambanga nako.
from the day she was attacked on the 17th of July, she has never got any help from UNHCR, and her back is beginning to rot.
Nobisa omusawo n'angamba oba abiruddewo nyinza n'okufuna kansa.
The few medical practitioners available have advised her that if it is not attended to, it might be cancerous in the near future.
UN tetuyambanga nako. Bagamba batusindikira abakansala naye nze sibalabangako. Balimba.
She says she saw a statement where UNHCR claimed UNHCR had sent counselors to them, but she says she has never seen a single one of them.
Simanyi oba nyinze n'okulaga ezo enkovu kubanga they are too much.
She would like to show you where the problem is in the back.
It's okay. Well, if she's comfortable, if she's not,
this scar has mass in it. As you can see, it is swollen. Now, the doctors have advised that it might be cancerous. You can see how far it stretches. And despite her rotting back, UNHCR is there saying that they have assisted her.
Kati Victor tumanyi tukoze tutya kubanga bisuse. They are too much. Buli lunaku nze sikyatambula ntera n'okutambula.
She says the situation is too much for her, and she doesn't do much. For example, her mobility is limited.
Tusaba obuyambi batujje wano. They told Steph.
She's asking for help. She's reminding UNHCR that this place is not safe for the LGBTQ persons, and hence we need an evacuation.
Ate Victor nsaba n'obuyambi oba nyambibwe kubanga ebisaago bye ndina bingi. Jjukira ekyamaaso omutwe gwagaana okuwona n'ebinno ebirala byayo.
yeah. Sifa is one of those women at Block 13. Her head was hit badly on June 19th. We had to take her to hospital. She was treated. She got problems with her vision, and we got her treated for some of the problems, but she never got the treatment that she needed. Her eyes are still giving her a problem, and we have to get to have the resources in order for her to get all that. But she just showed us the scar that has become septic. That is a wound that she got from July 19th. So you can imagine how long ago it was. July 19th, it was 4 women who were sexually assaulted as they were walking around the camp. And they got treatment, but unfortunately, her scars are beginning to, she says her back is rotting. Now, UNHCR actually, in its last statement, I saw the statement says that it got those women and got them treated and got them counselors and has taken care of them. She has just told you it is a lie. She has never seen UNHCR. She has never talked to their counselors. I thank the team of therapists, some of whom are here, Helen Thompson from London, Dr. Mila, Kini Kinari, and others who have stood with these women and all at Block 13, who are providing counseling to them. Because without you, then where would we be at? We have had a lot of suicidal cases at Block 13, and it is because of the great work that you have done that these people are still surviving. It is not because of the UNHCR, as they claim that they have provided counseling to these victims. Now, Gilbert mentioned earlier on that they they live in fear also, as those who have spoken out, the activists. It is true that as defenders, human rights defenders at the camp, they have been threatened. In fact, some of them have been summoned by the police several times and threatened about speaking out. And they live in fear. They live in fear. Uh, I mean, I know what that means as a defender myself who had to flee my country because of my sexual orientation, but also because of my work as an activist in Uganda. I was a target of my own government and religious leaders, homophobes, in all angles. So I know what that means, and I know what that fear means, and I know what that trauma means. We need these people out of that camp. The UNHCR is just saving its A. And in saving its A, the UNHCR will do whatever it takes, and it's doing it by saying it has done its job. But it hasn't. It hasn't. As you have had, really, these people are vulnerable. These people are weak. These people, the UNHCR has pushed down. Would they be lying at this moment when they say we are ready to stand for the truth? It is time for you organizations to send teams to Kakuma to speak to these refugees. Call them. They're accessible. See, they're on a live show today. And they've been on these live shows. They're at meetings. They're on Facebook. It is time for you organizations and individual human rights defenders to engage them. Their plight is real. What the UNHCR is doing is destructive. In fact, it is a crime to just remain silent as an institution that has been funded and has been supported and has the muscle to support these people, to remain silent. Crimes against humanity have been committed at Block 13. And every day we fear, every call I receive from Kakuma, I am afraid they're going to give me bad news. I have been like that since June 19th. And indeed, one morning here, while I was sleeping, I got a call. And as usual, I'm afraid that the question is, are you okay? And this time it was, no, we just lost baby Patricia. And I'm afraid every day when I receive a call from Kakuma. It has never been joy. So I'll bring them back and we will wind up and close this show for today. And we'll be back. Gilbert.
Victor, jukira on 19 June when
Yes.
natemebwa wano 19 July nenzirwamu era omugongo bwe batema omugongo 22 July bwe batwala essimu banteekako ejjambiya until now UN tenaba kudda.
Victor, what she's saying is that between 19th June and 22nd July, she had 3 major attacks. On the 19th June, her skull was cracked and she lost sight as a result. You remember the pictures?
Yes.
Remember seeing her?
Yeah.
On the 19th June, she was sexually attacked and she sustained that wound and others that she has in the back that is rotting as we speak. But 3 days later, on the 22nd of July, she was again attacked at night.
Yeah, I had been
with a
speaking to her.
machete.
Yeah.
Yes, you had been speaking to her that very moment when she was attacked.
Yes.
So she went to police to report, and they told her they're not interested. She should go and report somewhere else. Now, these are people who have refused to give us movement passes. Now, where else should we report? She asks.
Sifa, we are trying whatever it takes to see that you go to hospital tomorrow. I spoke to Bernard so that we find a way of you seeing a doctor that can take care of that. Please bear with me, but we're still getting those resources. We'll do whatever it takes. Yeah.
She thanks you, Victor.
Hmm. Thank you, Gilbert.
Thank you, Victor, so much.
Yeah.
We really pray that the world will take.
Gilbert, thank you so much. I think the internet is really problematic, and I'm so glad that you have given us this update and have asked us to start a campaign with our governments and organizations who are giving funding to UNHCR. Let them know that their funding is actually not being used for the right purposes, and that the institution that they are serving, their funding, is silent about homophobia, homophobic attacks, transphobic attacks in Kakuma Camp, and discrimination against LGBTQ individuals. On this show, we have seen a woman who is still ailing with wounds from way back, and UNHCR has still done nothing. UNHCR has remained silent amidst all these injustices. Now, I will work with Block 13 and will generate a call to action as far as the funding is concerned. I will post that call to action here on this page, and also the refugees will amplify it on their pages. And I will request you all to continue doing the same. This whole week, this is what we intend to do alongside all the other advocacy strategies that are taking place behind the curtains. I request you to continue or to start donating to the GoFundMe for these refugees. The GoFundMe link is pinned here on this live show. Therapists, I thank you for the work that you're doing. If there are therapists out there who are willing to offer pro bono free services to the refugees, we still need you. What the UNHCR is saying about the counseling services that they are giving to um, to the refugees, that is not true. We still need your help, and we still need those advocates that are engaging with UNHCR. Please continue doing that. We send you our strength, and we will continue documenting what is happening at Block 13. The Victor Mukasa Show will keep providing this space for the refugees, but also for other communities and individuals across Africa. The podcast station, the Victor Mukasa Show, is coming up again this week, and also YouTube. The Victor Mukasa Show YouTube channel has all the videos that we have done since June 19th. And if you want to look at those videos to see exactly what has been happening at Block 13 in Kakuma, LGBT refugees in Kakuma, please just go to the Victor Mukasa Show on YouTube, subscribe to it, and then follow. We'll be doing some of the shows directly from the YouTube with time. I would like to thank all of you who have stuck with us for all the time that we've been here. All the organizations that are supporting refugees in Kenya, thank you so much. You know that it's not only the refugees in Kakuma that are going through hell. Refugees in Kenya, the urban refugees, also have their own challenges. and there are also many. We call upon initiatives to begin working with LGBTQ refugees. Now, in Kakuma Camp, in the urban areas like Kenya, but LGBT refugees across the world are going through hell. That's a fact. We have communications from LGBT refugees in Turkey, Iranian refugees going through hell. They're going through hell. I think this is an area we all need to wake up to. These are our siblings, these are our brothers. The need is high in all ways. LGBTQ refugees are suffering. LGBT refugees are facing homophobia in the camps where they are placed. And we cannot remain silent. Thank you so much, everybody, for what your contribution has been. And until next show, I would like to say we will be here. We will be back. Please engage me if you need to. If you want to connect with the refugees, please let me know. We have a status financial report for the funding. For those of you donors who did not show up for the accountability, please let me know, and I'll also be sharing a final report with you via the emails that you have provided on the GoFundMe page and on Facebook. But the status report is available. If you want to know what it is at the moment, I am happy to share it. The refugees leadership of Block 13 are happy to share it. Thank you so much. And to Brian Koyoyo, I thank you for the support you have given to the struggle through your music. Block 13, do whatever it takes to stay alive tonight. I love you, and those who follow us love you. Adios.